So just grateful to have gotten two different collaborations in the Guinness Book of Records. We did the world's largest drum circle in 2004 with over 4,000 drummers for Guinness, and then world's longest concert for Guinness in 2017 in Chico, which was for a month, for 30 days and nights nonstop for a whole month with people on rotation. I've got over 100 different instruments, and I just wanted to bring the gym band, just share a little bit.
Yo, all right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Munch Gang. Today we got a special guest, somebody I've known for a long time, but this is actually my first time meeting him in person and kind of conversating with him, which is crazy because you've been around Reading for a long time, especially in the skate community. He's a very interesting, unique person, and he goes by many names, but the name I know him by is Barno.
Thank you, Frankie.
But your real name is?
Yeah, Mark's my given name.
Mark.
But that's just on paper.
That's on paper.
Pretty much. I haven't really gone by Mark too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barney was my nickname growing up. Because I slept with my eyes open for the first year and a half. So I was named after Barney Google, this little cartoon and comic strip from the 1920s, and in the Sunday Funnies in the paper for like 50 years.
What?
Barney Google and Snuffy Smith. Anyway, yeah, so I'm named after Barney Google with the googly eyes. Yeah. I slept with my eyes open for the first year and a half.
How is that possible?
That's another long story.
That's scary.
That's another story. That's it for another time, but yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe we can share a teeny bit of that a little later on.
I just want to know when it stopped. Like how long? Did it ever stop? Or are you still there?
No. Like I say, just about, my mom said the first year and a half, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, Barney, and then I think it was at Burnside, but I can't quite pin it down. When somebody just added the O, and then it turned from Barney into Barno.
Yeah, I think Barno sounds
like,
cooler.
Barno, yeah, Barney. You get some flack for that name for sure.
Yeah, because Barney's like you get mixed with that purple dinosaur.
Well, amongst other things, yeah.
Oh.
And in the surfing community and other places, yeah, that's just kind of, that name's kind of.
Is that like Barnacle? Is that? I don't know.
No, we don't have to go there either, but yeah.
Okay.
But Barno in the skate community for sure, and Jermaine more in like the spiritual community.
Spiritual.
Jermaine,
yeah. Yo, so Barno, very interesting. He's been in the skate community. He was one of the announcers for NS3, and maybe even the contest before that.
I got invited. I think it was the first time was through Brian Harris. Who I met at the Weed Park, which opened in 2006. And the first NS3 that I went to was at Anderson, night contest, 2009, I think it was. Okay. And he's like, you should just come. And I'd already been underground for so many decades in skating and just not really into competing and always just kind of laid low. And he's like, oh no, it's fun. We all just skate together in a skate like jam format, and it's really just a good time. And maybe you want to help come announce. You got a good voice or this, that, and the other. He was trying to get me to come.
You got the hype.
So no, it was fun. I mean, after I got to go, I mean, I'd already been on and played a lot of music and in the Guinness Book for music and been on stage a lot and TV, and so I was used to being on the mic. And then I started doing like trivia and other stuff, so people could like learn about skating instead of just, name the tricks properly. I think that was the main thing that really bugged me.
Yeah.
Was like going to a contest. He was like, backside air. It's like, dude, I was like,
backside tailfish,
Yeah.
to tail to revert, or whatever. Anyway, it's just fun calling the tricks properly if I could. And then if I didn't, I'd have some younger guy that knew all the super techy stuff, it's inward heel flip, blah, blah,
Right.
the more heavy stuff. But that was always kind of a thing. I just wanted to have tricks called right. Some people, I don't know, I had some good testimonials on that. A lot of people would appreciate that, so I just kept going with it, and I've announced over 100 contests in Northern Cal now, more than anybody.
Amazing.
So that's felt good.
Before
keep
we
it going.
get into that, let me ask you where you're from. Where you born?
Yeah, Redwood City.
Redwood City.
And skating at the Spillway was like the main spot. This place called the Backdoor Spillway, which was a famous spot in San Mateo. And then at Derby in Santa Cruz. My godfather, after my dad died in 1970, was a #1 motorcycle racer and died racing in Salinas, California, 1970. And then my mom's new best friend was this master carpenter, amazing surfer, skater, who's best friends with the owner of Tunnel, which was a big company in the 70s and into the early 80s. So I was just lucky to be riding with the guys from Tunnel and knowing those guys. Again, my godfather was best friends with Mitch Hockey, who was the owner at that time, which had Blackheart and Tay Hunt and just a bunch of amazing dudes on the Tunnel team. So yeah, I was kind of lucky in that way for sure.
Yeah, I'd never heard of those two. Tunnel that's a skate company, or is
Yeah,
that
Tunnel is huge. Yeah, I actually have a shirt here. There's a Tunnel. This is a reproduction, but yeah, I have a Tunnel.
really? And what year was that? You said?
And all the main spots in the Bay Area and Santa Cruz that we would skate, which had the Spillway, which was the main spot where I would skate, was this place called the Backdoor Spillway. A lot of people called it the Belmont Drop. I think Thrasher Magazine listed it as, they called it the Belmont Drop, but it was the sickest ditch ever.
Huh.
And one of them anyway, but shoot, the pit was pretty popular in San Jose too, and that's where Caballero rode and other people, but Spillway was huge, and I rode with a lot of heavies, and guys that are in the Skateboarding Hall of Fame to this day rode this ditch when I was a kid. I was just a Grom, and I'm watching some of these amazing dudes. But yeah, a lot of Milpitas, again, Buena, famous spots, Winchester, etc. I wasn't going to parks. I was just like, we were building our own ramps and skating a bunch of backyard half pipes, and we weren't into wearing pads, and we were just into like butt boarding hills and going 50 miles an hour, passing cars and stuff like on our butts, and doing crazy stuff like that, and skating ditches and going to Derby because that was free. And I didn't really get into more vert until a little bit later, the heavier, deeper stuff, like at Burnside. That's where I kind of got more heavy into the bigger stuff. But anyway, Tunnel and some famous spots in the Bay Area. This is through Fred Dog Myrtle brought these shirts. It's a long story, but he's up in Tahoe, and big up to Fred Dog, who took over from Don Bostic, who's like the godfather, one of the main guys in NorCal that had held one of the very first contests in Sacramento, 1975. Rick Blackheart took first place. It was so cool to meet Blackheart. Just got to meet Blackheart too. I'm stoked. He's in the Hall of Fame too.
Nice. A lot of these names and companies I'm not familiar with. So
I'm old. It's okay. I was getting here. Maybe you can hand me this old Tunnel board. Yeah, this is a prototype Tunnel board, and it's a Stinger model, which means it comes in here. You have these it just comes in a little narrower here. Yeah, Stinger. So this is a Stinger prototype from Tunnel with the built-up tail. This is before they started like steaming boards. You'd actually build it up just with a piece of plywood, build-up tail.
Oh, to create more pop.
Yeah, so you'd actually get a kicktail on it. Yeah, you'd actually add that piece of wood on the back, as you can see it from the side there.
What about the bottom side there? Is that just from razor tail or?
Yeah, that's just, and this would actually have a tail guard on it. In the old days, you'd have a piece of plastic so your tail wouldn't wear down. You would screw in
okay,
like a tail guard and nose guard. That's the hole still here from the nose guard, so your nose wouldn't get all chewed up every time it would hit something.
Right.
Just chew up the front. And then it has an old school lapper on the back, so you could go up, whatever, so you wouldn't hang up on the coping with the lapper.
I've never seen anything like this.
These wheels are newer, and these are Veriflex trucks, but this board, this is more of 80s here with the trucks and the wheels. But this board's late 70s. Again, Tunnel. It's got the pizza grip on it. You can see the tunnel stickers. Anyway, it's pretty tight. I posted this on the tunnel page, and I don't think they've seen a prototype of the Stinger. I've never seen another one. It was actually traded for a redwood burl from Neil Young's house. So there's a really deep story about that board because my godfather was this master carpenter, and again, friends with the owner of Tunnel, and friends with Neil Young, and built one of Neil Young's homes in Hawaii and did a lot of work on his place in Skyline. So yeah, that board was traded for 2 redwood burls from Neil Young's property. So it's just got a cool story.
That's a cool story.
Neil Young in there. Last time I saw Neil Young was $6 in Half Moon Bay, $6
For a ticket? To see him?
Yeah.
$6.
He was just playing at this little like church place in Half Moon Bay. You know, just random. You know, they only put the flyer up maybe just a few days before. You know, so whoever found out, that kind of stuff.
That was probably when you're working for 25 cents an hour or something. You know?
I was working for like $4.25 an hour. I remember that.
Nowadays, you know who Taylor Swift is?
Yeah.
Nowadays, her tickets are like in the thousands just for like some
Just for a
nosebleeds or
ticket.
something. Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
It's not looking good.
So that skating in the early days was rad. I mean, the Bay Area I was blessed, and then to move up to Placerville after that and spend time skating in Camino and in Colma. There was Joe Green had a big vert ramp in Placerville. Good times, and going down to the grind in Sacramento and skating there, and then moving up to Portland after that. And just happened to meet Red and a few guys at Cannon Beach skating, which was the only outdoor like cement park at that time in Oregon. And Mark Scott's like one of the he's the head of Dreamland skate parks, and pretty much the main force behind Burnside, at least for the first how many decades. So big up to Red and Dreamland for all the things that they're doing.
Didn't they help build the new park that we have now, or at least the
designed the park here in Redding, the new $1.3 million park. Thank God this Travis Penny, the new park and rec guy here, got this $9.7 million grant and then dedicated $1.3 million to this park. I think at least $1 million to the brand new Shasta Lake Park that's coming in. I think that has something to do with that same grant.
Sweet.
I might be wrong on that, but Shasta Lake's getting a park. I'm working on the new Dunsmuir skate park. They want a park there for the last like 6 years, and we just had a meeting up there recently again. I heard there's another small park going in Redding.
Another one.
Yeah, another smaller one.
The one by the library, like the Tiger Field.
Exactly. Yeah. And I hope that manifests. That would be cool to have another little small one in Redding. Would be rad.
Yeah,
that was kind of scheduled before Shasta Lake, but they've been trying to get one in Shasta Lake for a long time too. So
yeah, just construction and everything takes time, you know.
Yeah.
And finding the workers. But yeah, Brian talked about it. I think everything was cleared, so everything's good. It's just waiting on, I don't know what it is, just the work itself or the reconstruction of the whole area. Because right now there's still the tennis courts, you know, the playground and all that, but that'll come soon. I don't know if it's going to be a whole park. I think they're just going to throw,
I think it was something really small,
like skate obstacles, maybe like a ledge and a quarter pipe.
Yeah, it was something small, but it was just cool that they would incorporate, you know, something to do with skating. Right?
Thinking about us, because normally,
that's awesome.
Normally,
that was our whole goal at Skate Movement for like 13 years, give or take, however long that was to get a new skate park in Redding. You know, everybody would just drive by Redding, you know, and it's too hot and the park's jank and this, that, and the other. The first podium I ever had was at Redding, though, so I got to give it up to Redding, you know, because I didn't start competing until I was like, 41 again when Brian Harris talked me into coming to some event in Anderson in 2009, and then all of a sudden I'm full-fledged into it, and then all the sponsors start coming because for whatever reason, and it's just a good time. I mean, I'm just in it for fun. I've skated all over the world in like 16 different countries, and Sweden and India and China and Egypt. And
which one do you think was the best country to skate in? Or one that stuck out?
Well, resurrecting the Vans Park in India that had been buried in bamboo and giant monkeys, and like we cleaned out and resurrected that whole thing. It was just totally buried for years in the forest.
Oh, you helped dig it back up?
Yeah, I moved to India, and in 2012. I'm living in Goa, I'm performing. I'm playing lots of music locally, and it's going really well. I'm having like probably the best like music tour probably like I've ever had overseas. And some guy's like, "Oh, there's this kid. He's coming to your gig tonight. He lives at the skate park in the jungle that you've been trying to find for the last 2 weeks." I'm like, "What? Where's the park?" He's like, "Hey, he's coming tonight. He's coming to your gig." I was like, "All right, cool. I'll talk to this guy. Purna was his name, from Bangalore. Super cool dude." And so I'm talking with him after my gig that night and whatever. I'm eating food, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm living at the skate park. I'm renting the house there at the old Vans Park." He goes, "But the landowner's like doesn't want us to skate, and if he ever catches us skating, he wants us to pay. He wants money." Mm-hmm. Yeah, in India, right?
Yeah, they do what they can to survive.
Gosh. No, it's crazy. It's fun, but like all your dreams can manifest in one, in one afternoon in India, or you can die in India in one day too.
Yeah, you never know.
No, it's crazy there. I had a great time. They treated me like they treated me really good. But anyway, so I meet this dude. I go out to his place. I'm like, "You're renting this place?" I'm like, "Yeah, this killer kidney bowl and another square pool and a whole street course with a portal doorway and like death boxes, and like it was dope." And we just like cleaned it up big time, and like all these guys from I think it was from Sweden. Yeah, Sweden and Norway. I can't remember the guys' names, but holy crap, these guys were so good. And then they would skate at this place called Shiva Palace, and then they ended up getting in a contest over there, and then we helped build a bowl and did the DIY and building, and yeah, it was just super fun. India's rad. That was cool. I mean, that was a good memory. Just resurrecting this old park. They built it in 2006. I think it closed, or no, they built it like 2001, and then
everybody just stopped skating, or what happened?
And then it like was deserted after like 2006, so it sat there just overgrown for like 6 years, and then we uncloaked it and like cleaned it all up. Yeah, that was cool. And we would just skate like when the landlord wasn't around, and have some really good sessions. I have good videos from there.
Is that one of the bigger cities in India, or?
Goa, it's just like outside of Anjuna in Goa, southern India, is where people like vacationing.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
how does
tropical
kind of paradise in Goa? It's pretty nice. It's like 95 degrees every day and tropical. Nice. Yeah, the beaches are amazing.
I was going to say, how does India have a skate park, but Dunsmuir does not have a skate park?
Well, there wasn't that many back then. I mean, now it's totally blown up. Like the DIY scene in India is completely off the chain. I happened to get there kind of at the early part of the India DIY explosion, for lack of better words. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But now they're like, they're springing up all over in India. They've got lots of parks, and the kids are getting sponsored. And like, another cool thing, I was skating with this little crew. I was just on my moped, or whatever, my little scooter, just buzzing through these little villages in Anjuna and around Anjuna, and ran into these kids who were skating like on the street. I was like, I heard a board like snap. I heard it like an ollie snap and a clack. Like I heard a skateboard, and I'm like turned around. I'm like, what? Who's skating? Like these dudes, these kids were skating in this random, this janky, super jank, just crap spot. But they were making the most of it. And I'm just like, what? I'm like waiting. Like I wasn't living that far from there. I was living in this little village called Badem. I was renting my house for $6 a night, and you're just like 5 minutes from the beach.
That's amazing to see all these different cultures and figuring out skateboarding, right?
No, it was cool. But a lot of those people, though, weren't from India. A lot of them are like, whatever, they're all transplants from Israel and from England, and, families, people that have come over and raising their kids there in India, and Anjuna especially. Goa is kind of a big trance mecca, Goa Trance music, which was invented by Goa Gill. We had the same manager in music, actually. Anyway, he's kind of the father of techno music and invented trance. Yeah. Anyway, so Goa in India has this whole genre named after him, or like he helped create this Goa trance, this certain style. And so it's just like like nonstop and go. It's crazy. I'm there playing all these instruments. That's why I did really good, because I had no competition. I'm there at these like fancy places on the beaches playing whatever to the more upper class or something, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It was rad though. They treated me good. It was super fun. But like skating with those kids, so I meet these kids, skating with them, and then they're like, oh, we skate every Sunday down at the flea market. And Anjuna has this really famous flea market. And so whenever we're skating there, when the flea market's not going on, there's a couple rad spots there. And some guys found us, and they're like, yeah, we're doing a video for Billabong, a small thing out of Mumbai. You do mind if we shoot you guys, take some video, we'll give you a little donation, and we'll kick down some food, and we got some other product, and whatever, they got tea and all this different stuff. It's like, these are just little kids. I think I was like the oldest by far, but it was like, we just did this whole like street thing for him for Billabong. It was rad in India, in some random place in Goa, the flea market. It was cool. Yeah, you never know who you're going to run into in skating, and they're like, oh, you helped build Burnside? Really? Burnside?
Oh, they know Burnside all the way from that side.
As soon as it's on Tony Hawk PlayStation number 1, number 2, or no, number 1, number 3. It's on Activision, all this different like games or whatever, so people know about it. You skated with Tony Hawk? Yeah, it's usually the first question. Yeah. It's like only one time, like up at City Skate in Portland at the indoor park, on the vert ramp there,
Oh, but you did skate with him, yeah.
Yeah. But I was shooting video more. I was kind of I have whatever the deepest Burnside early years video archive. Kent Dahlgren has the deepest photo archive, and mine's probably second in photos, but deepest video. Still haven't released that yet. That needs to be released. Guys have been hounding me for over 30 years. When are you going to release the Burnside early years part 1 and 2? It was cool. I mean, I was lucky. Like, I had to put up Alva, like when Tony Alva came, and he's like in the Guinness book, like, and I knew a lot about Alva, It's like, I was like, man, just stay at my parents' house, like, we'll put you up. So it was cool to actually host, him. And then like when Christian Hosoi had first come to Burnside too, whatever, to take him to this other spot outside of Burnside, one of these, whatever, it's this pool actually in Milwaukee at this hotel. It was just like one of the top secret spots to like take people. I was rad with Hosoi there. And they used footage of mine of Hosoi in this movie called Dope, which won some awards. DOPE means death or prison eventually, and it's about Dennis Martinez, Bruce Logan, Jay Adams, and Christian Hosoi, about 4 guys that were virtually at the top of their game, and then whatever fell into hard times and whatever, living under bridges, some of them, and just crazy stories. It's a beautiful movie, real tearjerker. Good movie. It's called Dope. But anyway, it was cool. They used my footage of Hosoi at Burnside. Only me and Rodney Mullen were the only guys who donated footage for free.
Oh, for free.
To that movie, yeah. It says the additional archival footage. And it had my name above Rodney. I'm like, you should have had Rodney above my name. No, I was just happy to contribute. That was through Dave Paul, who's a lifetime tracker truck guy who made that happen. Again, through Dennis Martinez. So big up to Dennis Martinez and Dope. Thank you. He's in the Hall of Fame too. Big up to Blackheart. Big up to all the guys in SAC that I just went and saw at the N-Men premiere. They took first out of 147 films. I had all these guys sign one of my older boards from Skate Crime. Still waiting on my new Bigfoot Barno boards. But yeah, it was just nice to have Alva, Hosoi, all these guys. Again, with Brockway, MTR, Middle, big up, Randy Caton, Don Bostic and company. So many amazing dudes at that event just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago now in Sacramento. Yeah. N-Men, The Untold Story, N-Men, worth seeing.
Amazing.
Crazy good movie. I can't believe they got first. And they got Best Director. And that's an LA film fest. That's not some janky little film fest. That's like a real deal film fest. They took first. So that's cool. They're having premieres. They already had a premiere in LA. They're doing one in Idaho. Hopefully they're just going to go overseas and keep riding it and get it up to Netflix or wherever it needs to be. So it won't be out for a long time because they're going to need to be riding that wave for a while. But it's just neat. N-Men, Sacramento. Again, Don Bostic threw the very first contest, NorCal, at that time. What we call NorCal, which would be more like Sacramento North.
Right.
There was some earlier contests before 75, of course. There was contests in the 60s. But the real heavier contest with Blackheart taking first was 75 in Sac, and that was with Don Bostic. who I just got a message from, and he's the head of the U.S. skateboarding team.
For the Olympics?
Head of the I forget his new title, to be straight up with you. He's had a few titles. I just always have known him as, the head of World Cup series, the World Cup skateboarding, excuse me. And I've been to a couple World Cup events where he's doing his thing. And he was running the snowboarding in Tahoe for years and handed that off again to friend Dog Myrtle, who was connected with Tunnel, who kicked down those shirts at the reunion. It was so cool hosting that reunion. I don't mean to backtrack, but yeah, hosting the Spillway thing was rad in 2015. So many guys came out of the woodwork. They used to ride this old ditch. Couldn't get Blackheart to come for a number of reasons, but yeah, all good. We had a good time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
and then Burnside too. Again, we didn't know what was going on. I was just using my tip money, just mixing cement. Buying my own bags and just mixing with a 2x4. I was working at Olive Garden. So I was like taking my tip money from Olive Garden to buy cement, and because these guys started building this thing under the bridge, and we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know it was going to go to #1 in the world and be on all these movies and in Free
video
Willy.
games.
Yeah, Free Willy, the one with the whale.
They had that in there too.
Burnside's like in the first 5 minutes, yeah. And then in Paranoid Park with Gus Van Sant, the director from Vancouver. It's in I think a Madonna movie and a couple, I don't know, at least 6 or 7 different pictures. You have to Google that. I can't remember all the movies, but it's interesting how many flicks that Burnside's in that you've heard of. It was kind of cool. So again, we had no idea. We were just like, and at that time, the mayor of Portland was Bud Clark, and he was super cool. He had a big beard. His son skated. I remember when they first came down to Burnside, and they're looking over the wall. And Bud had this huge smile, and we're just like, yeah, Bud. The mayor approves, even though we, took over this parking lot, But that landlord of that place was just standing on no legal leg at all. Had this total dilapidated hotel there and full of junkies and hookers and homeless people, and just the most craziest things went on in that old
So he didn't really care.
Place. Yeah, so the city was just like, oh, cool, there, it gives a place for the skaters to go. It got all the junkies out from under the bridge. It's a total win-win situation. Let us keep it. And then I believe they got historical status after 20 years, so they can't get rid of it.
Nice.
Yeah. At least I believe that's the story. Good luck getting rid of Burnside.
It's almost like a national park now.
Can't get rid
It's like
of
Yosemite
Burnside.
of skate parks.
And then as I'm going around the planet doing all this other more, metaphysical type, concerts and lectures, I'd always have my skateboard with me. So I'd always be able to skate all these random crazy places that I was going, just, it wasn't necessarily a skate trip, but I always had my board with me.
Yeah.
Because, skating wouldn't pay my way around the world so much as those other, my day job.
But it's a good way of transportation either way if you need to get somewhere.
That's right. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Known this guy for a long time. I'm like, Frankie, growing up now. I remember when he was just a Grom at the contest. That first contest in Anderson at NS3, Logan Marshall was 6 years old.
He was a
baby. And he made the finals or whatever in the 11 and unders at 6. And I'm just like, I'll never forget that because that was the first contest that I was announcing with Brian Harris. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Logan Marshall, badass.
Yeah, now he's grown up. And
big up to Kevin Marshall. Big up to Pam Lewis, everybody at Skate Movement, Heather Harris, Todd Harris, Brian Harris, Allison, everybody. I mean, it's a long crew, long list there with big Chuck Horton, with Big Chuck, and so many different people. And just props to Scribner and Wiegand and just all the shredders that have been getting into Thrasher Magazine that are from Reading, and to Superb with Robbie. Who's been one of my main hookups. Super stoked. Big up to Darkside, who's been a total just steadfast for so many years. So big up to Bruce, Darkside forever. He's just cool. He's always been there. I mean, a lot of people come and go when you're trying to get sponsors or people to donate for contests. But Darkside's always been there. Robbie's always been there. I still haven't even been over to Ray's. Ray's the total legend in town. I mean, he's one of my heroes, Ray Lee. So, I mean, yeah, just hearing stories about him and watching him skate at Reading back in the day and backside 180ing that pyramid the long way, nobody does that at Reading. Right. It doesn't happen unless you're Ray Lee.
Yeah.
So talk about a legend. Like, yeah, Ray Lee was big.
Isn't it amazing that he opened up a shop? Like, who better than Ray to open up a shop? And
Yeah, no, so deserved. Yeah, and I haven't even been over there. I've just been so busy doing what I'm doing up in Mount Shasta. I'm just glad to be down there and to get back into it a little bit more. And through Heather Harris and Skate Movement, it's nice. All I have to do now is just really just send an email and, and then everything's set up in whatever town that I need to be doing a contest, and it's totally legit. I don't have to be doing more of my pirate contests. I'll be doing one for my birthday in Shasta next month, and then I'm announcing at Eureka next month at the annual contest. This will be my third time out there. It's nice camping in the redwoods and in the coast. So yeah.
Speaking of your skate,
that's with Big T. So big up to Big T. Just wanted to say that too.
I just wanted to say, speaking of those skate comps, you run a skate comp in Mount Shasta yourself, right? The Krusty Lurkers?
Well, yeah, Krusty Lurker, yeah, that's been going on. That was through Brian Harris again, and me did this night session in Weed like 14, 15 years ago. And then we just like, man, and it was such a hit because it was at night. It was just like, I don't know, nighttime is just the right time in skating. And you got it all lit up, and then, things just start to happen. That normally wouldn't happen in sessions. And then actually at that first session, there was a board that stood up by itself.
By itself? Like,
yeah, it was like this guy was standing on the board. Usually, when you have your foot on the board, the board is like this. You take your foot off and the board just goes down flat. And it just stayed up like that without his foot on it. And they were thinking like, how's your board standing up? And I remember seeing it on Fuel TV once back in the day, which would show a lot of skate stuff on Fuel TV.
Yeah.
And they showed a board standing up, and I just thought it was a gag, or there's double-sided tape on the tail or whatever, some gum or something's holding it down. But there was nothing holding it, and I knew Will Grigsby from McLeod Shredder. I think he's in Tahoe now for many years, but he's like, Barno, like, I'm not kidding, dude, standing up, like I didn't do anything. And I'm videoing the whole thing, and there's a huge crowd of people, and the little kids are like, it's the Lemurians, they're holding the board up, or whatever, there's like it's a ghost, or angels, or whatever, like all this stuff, And I'm like, Will, back up and like run up and jump on the board and roll in the pool and take a whole run. I'll get the whole thing on video, And then, so he did that. And then I jumped in the pool, and right when he was done, we flipped the board over, and it was all in one scene, all in one uncut video clip.
Raw, yeah.
And I'm like, look, no there's no tape. Like, it wasn't like, that wasn't fixed or whatever. But yeah, magic that first night at the Krusty. We didn't even call it Krusty Lurker back then, but then it just evolved over the years. It was like, I think the heaviest one I did with it, Shasta, was like 110 skaters showed up.
Sweet.
And the park and recs were like, how do you get so many people to show up? I'm just like, man, people just come. I don't know. Like, we just try to have fun. And then started doing the dirt ball rally, which is this time thing on the dirt, on your skateboards, on the BMX track behind the park there, which I did for like 4 years. The dirt ball rally, which is super fun. But yeah, Krusty Lurker. This is our 14th year. It's coming up in September.
Is that how long the park's been open in Mount Shasta? Because it's kind of newer.
I think it's been third. Yeah, it's a good question. Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Wow, that's amazing.
14
I feel
years.
old now just
because I buried diamonds in the foundation, just like I did in this park in India. And they're California diamonds, whatever, just to boost up the energy. Only 2 parks in the skate parks in the world that have diamonds buried in the foundations: Mount Shasta and one in Goa in India.
That's amazing, and you had part in that.
Well, that's my idea. Yeah, yep, that's my deal. So, nobody else doing it. I'm like, yeah, I just got to put some crystals. I'm into stones. I don't know, I like crystals and stuff. And these California diamonds don't have the, it's not African blood diamond, karma, garbage. These are from Clear Lake, just a few hours south of here. Cali diamonds, nice and clear. And you don't have to dig up and thrash the land. They're just picked up off the ground harmlessly,
Yeah. Oh, not like those blood diamonds.
Yeah. So, like, good luck cleaning the. Yeah, I'm not even going to go there. But good luck trying to cleanse whatever energy's on those.
Right.
I don't care what kind of ceremony you got. Good luck.
So how deep did you bury the diamonds?
They're not that deep. They're just right underneath the cement and just in the dirt right before they poured.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like what part of the skate park? Like towards the 9-foot bowl?
There's one toward the 9. There's one up on the top, like up in that smaller capsule area, and then just one like kind of right in the middle. Where the
and how'd you pre-planned it? So when you knew they were gonna pour
I knew they were gonna pour the next day. So yeah, I just like just hop the fence and just put them where I thought they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I just say like 3 little positive things into each one, and then just like put it in there, the little intention behind it. Yeah.
So are you a Mount Shasta local now? Is that where you stay in, or are you just kind of everywhere still?
No, I've been in Shasta for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my folks bring me there since I was a little guy, since the 70s, and then I moved there in 94.
I wanted to bring up, I've always heard stories about, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but the Lemurians is very big around in the Mount Shasta area.
Well, that's the deal. I mean, that's what people say. There's this subterranean community inside the mountains, like 3 miles across, 1 mile high, man-made, cavernous dome, with 1.5 million, all in the 5th dimension and higher.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of books on it. There's a lot of information on it. I've written a few myself. But I'm not going to go into that too much. But yeah, my website is stgermainvioletflame.com. And you spell that. It's SAINT and then Germain Violet Flame. But yeah, I'm not going to go into it too much. But yeah, Lemuria, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people ask me when they're it's like, oh, how do I get in the mountain? A lot of people are like hearing these stories about these people that live inside the mountain.
Is that the same theory as Hollow Earth? Have you heard of Hollow Earth?
Yeah, it's like the crust is like a honeycomb with whatever. There's a lot of these subterranean communities that are right near the surface, but once you get through the crust, then it's supposedly 7,000 miles across inside, with like 100 million people in over 100 different cities, and Shambhala is the capital. That's kind of a long story. That's why I write books.
Yeah, I'd have to check out one of those books, I guess.
Maybe we can grab that stack of books, please.
Oh, yeah.
That would help.
Let's
Thank
check them out.
you so much. You're awesome. Thank you. So yeah, and the latest one is the Shasta's Majesty, which has a lot of that information in. Boom, you can see that. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, that's the newest one. There's a lot of, there's so many stories with,
And these are all written by...
We could do episodes just about the mountain. So it's kind of a long, crazy story, but that's why I'm writing books. So Saint Germain, Violet Flame, Lemurians. Yeah, Shasta was the crown chakra of Lemuria, which was this continent before Atlantis. This was the top of the 7th main region. Yeah, it's quite a long story, but yeah, there's just so much electromagnetic energy pouring out of Shasta. I've been to a lot of volcanoes and a lot of energy spots from Egypt and wherever the Himalayas and all over the Andes, and I spent a lot of time in all the major mountain ranges.
But Mount Shasta stood out.
Shasta's, yeah, it's kind of hard to, I don't know, I'm kind of partial to it because I've been going there since I was a kid, so it's probably not fair for me to say. I probably have more of an affinity for it than most, but it's a magic spot, totally. Like, that's where they say heaven and earth meet or whatever, that the 5th dimension never left.
Right.
It's just a high vibe, especially when you get above like 6,000 feet on the mountain. There's definitely, it's just a different frequency. I don't know how to say that. But if you're into meditation, you can definitely whatever. That's another way to ask, to go in. People are like, how do I get inside the mountain? It's like, just ask before you go to sleep. To go, while your body's sleeping, to go in your finer body or whatever, in the light body, or like in meditation, or when you're just sitting quiet in nature. Those are the times to ask to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, shoot, that's to each his own on that one. Some people are just like, yeah, whatever. I've had tons of experiences, so I can't deny any of it. But it's just for those, I guess, who are choosing that.
Yeah, and there's so many other.
It's more of an inward journey. You're not even really searching. It's more of an inward thing. And then everything's kind of revealed. It's like the more you go searching, the farther it gets away. The more you try to push something into creation, it gets farther. It seems, anyway. It's like when you least expect it, then the greatest things are shown. It's like, then you can't deny it. It's like, dang, it's like you're in that cave on the mountain, and all of a sudden, these owls come and start circling right over your head in the cave, or whatever it is, something, and then you have some epiphany or some kind of a vision, or, Shasta's magic, totally. Spend time camping there. I
should.
Yeah, bro, for sure. It's magic. There's over 700 caves. There's a lot of places.
The best clear water ever,
Yeah,
natural water.
It's won quite a few awards, for sure. Shasta, definitely. So yeah, I was team captain on Skate Crime for 7 years. and they're out of Novato. I was just skating at the Terra in Tahoe, the South Lake Tahoe contest, and the head of Skate Crime's like, "Hey, like, I need to know that guy." That's what he told me later. He's like, "Yeah, I want you to," and he came up to me, or I came up to his booth. I think I came up to his booth. He had some cool stickers. I'm like, "Skate Crime, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to be like the NorCal rep for Skate Crime?" I'm like, "No, just make me team captain." And he's like, "Okay." So, and then JD Sanchez was on that team too, who's like just blown up. Like he's skating this weekend, I think, in Utah with Tony Hawk and all the heaviest like vert skaters. Like he got invited. Yeah, JD's like, he's blowing up. He almost made it on the Olympic team. He's been doing Olympic qualifiers in a bunch of different places. So anyway, it's just cool. Big up. And again to Zion, like, oh my gosh. I remember when Tony Hawk even posted when Zion took best trick at the Bolorama in Australia or whatever.
Really?
It was like, cool, Tony Hawk. Like, and he actually miscalled the trick. No disrespect. And I was like,
What'd he say?
I was like, I go, "Zion, man, Tony posted your beam plant to fakie," and I don't even want to say what he called it, but and Zion's like, well, don't say anything. I'm like, no, I'm not going to say anything. So what? He miscalled the trick. Who cares? But I'm just the stickler for trick calling because I've been like announcing for so long, trying to like get my tricks in order, and I didn't know. I mean, there's just so many tricks. I tried to write a book on skateboard tricks. That did not happen, and I've written books. I'm like, that's an endless journey that I'm not ready to tackle. Trying to write a book with like every trick.
And there's so many tricks.
Or at least, not every trick. That's impossible, I guess, because tricks are being made like
Infinite.
all the time. So it's like you could never do it. I gave up on that one in a hurry.
But people have different ideas. Let's say, for instance, nowadays people call a pop shove a kickflip a varial flip now.
Right.
So would you consider that a varial flip incorrect?
No, there's so many different names for the same trick.
Yeah.
You just...
You've had a couple pro boards or boards made after you?
Yeah, there was just more of a commemorative model. Again, with the Barno board. This was the first one that came out with Skate Crime.
I remember that one. Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
And this is with the Violet Flames. You can't really see it because you got all these names all over it. I didn't go to my storage to dig out a plain one. But the newest one's going to be, again, with the Bigfoot. But it was more of a commemorative model because dudes are like, "What? Why do you have the Barno board?" It's like, "How'd you get that?" It's like,
I know people.
well, these guys just offered it through Skate Crime, and I was just like, I already had some ideas for a board, and I was like, well, that'd be kind of cool. And we actually sold a lot of those boards, and it wasn't about like making money, but it's just like getting them out. People are just like, I just like the graphic. I just want to hang it on the wall. This is Paul Kreitzenbeck's graphic, who's doing Dead and Company's posters, Dave Matthews, Fish, just all like so many heavy bands. And he's out of Dunsmuir. He's amazing graphic artist. So it's just nice to have that vibe. And I don't know, I did get a little bit of flack, but most people are just like, I want a cop. I want one. So, and I didn't, and I started competing in the Masters, and I wasn't, I was usually getting my butt kicked. I mean, I only took how many first place? Not that many. Less than that many times in first.
When you're in the same age group as Ray Lee, it's tough.
Well, yeah, when you're 49 against 41-year-olds, it was definitely, that was. But once it started getting into the 50s and the legends, it was a little bit more like, okay, cool, I can compete at this level and actually get it more consistently on the podium. It was kind of fun. I don't know. It's just a good time.
As long as you're having fun, right?
I mean, that's what it was all about. Like I said, Brian talked me into this whole thing. Like I wasn't, like most people didn't have a clue who I was. It was like, oh yeah, I heard of this guy. He's one of the main original builders at Burnside. And most people, that was about it. I think I was the only guy certified actually to pour cement legally that had already been through whatever the training, the classes. To pour cement at Burnside.
Was there a certain obstacle that's still there that you've poured on?
There's a bunch of things that are still there. I contributed more on the square bowl. There was some features that are gone, like the original elbow. I remember working on an Arctic Blast with Monk, rest in peace, Monk from Grindline, who would come down from Seattle and help us work on Burnside, and he was simultaneously doing the same thing up in Seattle, and I was stoked to work on some projects with him too. That was really cool. But he would. I remember one time working at Burnside, like in the middle of the night, Arctic Blast. It was like 30 below. It was so crazy cold, and we're down there like trying to mix cement. Like it was just way too cold. But like,
Was it
but
snowing?
we're
or-
like no, 30 below was like no. That was like beyond snow. It was like
It's just
freezing rain type stuff where it would just instantly like your breath would just I don't know. 30 below is kind of different.
that sounds crazy.
It's more of an Arctic type blast, but that was one of my favorite memories at Burnside. Was just working with Monk in the middle of the night during the Arctic Blast on the original elbow. It was all hand laid brick, and Red had a huge chunk in that and everything that he touched. But the cool story was that Brett Taylor was the guy who had the first idea to lay cement down there. And Osage would try to talk him into going to do it. And they didn't finally go and do it until Halloween 1990. And it was Chuck Willis, Osage Buffalo, and Brett Taylor.
So from the stories I've
And
heard,
they went down, and Brett laid this little thing at like whatever. They went down and just mixed this bag of cement and made this little tranny to the existing big wall there. And that's how the whole thing started. But it was through Brett Taylor. And there's a lot of people that will dispute that, but I've had long talks with Brett Taylor recently, and he spent like 6 weeks in Mount Shasta, just living in the forest because he's been homeless for a long time. And I hadn't seen him in like 25 years, and all of a sudden he shows up at Shasta. I'm like, dude, you're and I would tell people that's the guy who's like, is the founder of Burnside, period. It's like, no, he isn't. I'm like, that's the dude. Get
I
the
was
story
there.
straight. I've heard so many stupid people claiming things, whatever, over the years. So yeah, Brett Taylor had the idea. Osage really kicked him in the butt that night on Halloween. He was like, let's go do this. We got to go lay this, and talked him into it or whatever. And they were just like, yeah, it's time to go. And then Chuck Willis went along too. So it was those three dudes that actually laid it. And then it just blew up after that. And we had no idea. Now it's just this mecca. People were moving from all over the world. Dudes were moving from Norway just to like skate Burnside, to like live in Portland. It was crazy. And then Phelps shows up and from Thrasher, and
they do some of the King of the Roads there.
Tony Hawk showed up. I remember Tony Hawk showed up. I remember the first time he was just watching. He didn't skate it, but he skated the indoor park and crushed it at the vert ramp of the indoor. I think Burnside was just a little rough and crowded. And he just didn't know all the lines, and I probably wouldn't have jumped into that fire either because we were all going 100 miles an hour. Good luck. Everybody was running each other over in those days. You didn't care. It's like if you're in the way, even if you were bros, it was like,
Watch out.
watch out. Yeah, no, for sure. And it wasn't as rough, Burnside. Like a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I'm scared of even going to Burnside. It was actually all these really angelic dudes that just had these covers. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? They're really, because to skate at that level, you got to be like Kung Fu, Shaolin, like
Agility,
master. Yeah,
yeah.
you got to be Jedi. Yeah, totally. Like you can't have fear to be doing what we were doing. I was pretty fearless then. Red was just killing it. Red was just power rider times 10. And then he started building at Lincoln City, and then Dreamland skate parks, and building the biggest, scariest parks in the world. I remember when we were trying to, like, Red, like, we need Dreamland to come and build the park at Mount Shasta. And he's like, man, they won't let us go over like so many feet. Like the regulations were really stiff in Cali, like at that, whatever, through that avenue or whatever. There's always different stipulations in every county, every city, through time, what state. I'm sure there's 1,000 facets of that diamond that I don't know about. But anyway, yeah. So it was like, dude, they won't let us go big. We're like, we're not going to just build some small park. I'm like, I get it. You guys build big, rad, crazy, rad stuff. So anyway, it was just cool. There's so many crazy things inside some of those transitions, the trash and the different things that we would throw in there to like just fill the trannies with. Like if you could actually see inside some of those transitions, what the hell's in there? And
Maybe
then one
some
of them
more
was left
diamonds.
hollow, and like Coy and Gavin like lived inside the tranny and had the padlock, the key to like get inside to sleep inside the trannies at night. It was so rad.
Wow.
That was cool. Yeah, that was in the old original like Taco, which doesn't exist anymore. The A-frame, whatever Taco Bank thing was sketchy. It was so gnarly. And it was all just a bunch of vert, and it wasn't that big, and just all vert. That was super fun. That park made you better for sure.
Made you have no fear. Like if you could hit anything at that park, you could hit anything at any other park, right?
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of, that's a story of so many skaters, that grew up that didn't have the luxuries of skating these like pristine pools and these amazing parks in Southern California. Mm-hmm. Like that Endmen story that I just went and saw in Sacramento with the red carpet thing. So many of those guys grew up skating the jankiest pools and the roughest spots. Like they didn't have the pick of the litter, so to speak. More so in SoCal that they had that pick. So it would just make them just that much burlier, that much gnarlier, because they had to skate stuff that was barely even skatable, So it does make you kind of, not better, but it makes you like, it doesn't make you worse, let's just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's like a double-edged sword too, because nowadays kids that are younger, they're skating these pristine parks. So when they get to the street, they see like this janky force there or this janky four rail. Then they're like, oh, that's not to like the perfect specification of how I want to skate.
Yeah.
So they only grow up skating the parks as like everything's perfected there. So when they get to the streets, it's a whole nother story.
Or just, to a pool that's like really was never meant to be,
Just
some pools are just like all vert, barely, 2 or 3 feet of tranny and 6 feet of vert. And you're like, it's just, super hard to skate, but only the gnarliest dudes, that just made you a better skater. So I wasn't that big in pool skating. I grew up skating ditches. I was like the flat bang ditch guy. Excuse me, I keep banging the mic. And one thing of whiskey, I'm out of control.
you're all good. That's the power of editing. I could always work those
It's all
out.
good.
Yeah.
No worries. So, yeah, skating's been huge to me. I mean, shoot, I've been doing it for over 50 years now.
50 years.
Or this is like the 51st year or whatever. So I'm just going to keep going. I've fallen over 40,000 times on cement. I figured it out since the 70s. And I really don't wear pads, never really been into it. I know a lot of people are against that. It's not that I think it makes you look like a wuss. It's just uncomfortable, I guess. Yeah. And I didn't grow up wearing pads, so you just learn how to fall. You know, they say, "Oh, Barno, man, you have the most graceful bails in the game." I'm like, that's why I'm still alive. Like,
It takes skill to fall.
Lost a lot of my friends to skateboarding, unfortunately. We used to butt board a lot when I was a kid, and some of those guys passed away. It was gnarly. They were doing over 60 miles an hour, butt boarding on Road Rider, like just old school stuff. Ballsy. Yeah, we were pretty crazy back then. I remember my brother going to jail. Like, my mom's like, "Your brother's in jail. It's for reckless driving on a skateboard." Reckless driving on a skateboard. It's like, yeah, he's like the cop said he doubled the speed limit.
On a skateboard?
And passed like 4 cars on a double yellow where you're not supposed to pass on a double yellow.
Amazing.
Yeah, on a skateboard, it's like, yeah, Jackson jail. Go get him out. No more skateboarding for a month.
Yeah.
Or whatever he got grounded for.
You can get a ticket for not wearing a helmet skating down the street,
Yeah,
They
right?
used to get you for that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we were pretty crazy. We were shooting like freeways even and highway stuff, which was that was next level for sure. But yeah, not anymore. I got a little more sense now.
If you had some advice to give to the younger generation or the new generation coming up, what would you tell them about skateboarding and what to look forward to or what not to look forward to? I mean, because skateboarding
That's a good
teaches
question.
a lot of stuff, right? Skateboarding.
I mean, to me, it's real freedom, just to have the wind blowing in your face. And I don't know, just the sound like I'm into slides, so I get these crazy long squealing, like I don't know. It's hard to duplicate that sound. I don't know. I just like the sound, and again, it's just having the air. So what would be my advice? Just have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, who cares what anybody thinks of you? A lot of people, oh, Barno, you got no style. You're so stiff. I remember this one. I won't mention his name, but very famous dude. And we're at this contest. I think I came in last. he goes, you got to bend your knees, Barno. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll bend my knees some more. I go, I like to try to just ride like I'm just casually standing there, like I'm not even skating. That's kind of my style. He just starts laughing at me. And other people are like, dude, you have total like Burnside steez, like your style's kill. Like, what's he talking about? So it's funny how some people
Perceive.
yeah, it's just like, I guess I do have style? Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I have no style, you know?
People-
So, yeah, it just depends on what people think. I think my style is kind of on the stiffer side for sure. And I think that pro was right that day in what he said. But I mean, I can get hella squatty and bend my knees when I need to and do stuff. Like, you know, when I was younger, I just, don't always do that. But, yeah, what can I tell the kids? Just have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're competing, if you got skill, then just, you know, ride that wave. Like start sending, whatever, get footy of yourself. That's what I would do when I would see guys that would come to the park, like in Shasta. I'm like, man, you got any footy? I was like, no. I'm like, you got skill. Like, you could probably get sponsored, dude. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, here, let me just shoot some stuff at you, and I'll go back to the pad here, you know, and I only live, you know, a mile and a half, and whoever will edit this thing down, and you can take this clip and it'll all be edited. All you gotta do is put music to it and you're gold. And I was like, what? And I did that for like over 25 dudes growing up. And some guys went all the way to like X Games gold. And they were
amazing.
like, they weren't even thinking like they weren't shit. And they went like really far. Anyway, it didn't always happen like that, but it just was always rad to just promote. Like in skate movement, we gave away literally over 50 G's. And I say that mildly. It's a lot more than that to me. Just in the trophies alone that came from Harris Metalworks, they're over 500, and I figured it out how many trophies that they put out. I mean, just for the over 500 custom metal trophies alone over those years, like crazy amount. But yeah, just to know all that money, all those trophies, all those prizes, went out to all these kids. It's really all about just giving back, and that was our whole deal, just to like keep skateboarding going. It's like, who cares about us? So what? We're getting old. It's all about the kids, and it was always about the kids with skate movement. It always will be. It still exists. We're just not doing the series anymore, but definitely still is in existence. And Heather Harris is holding down the vibe and allowing me to be able to do, like, so when North State stopped, I'm like, man, I'm still going to do the corning contest. I still want to do the Shasta contest. So I just kept going just on my own or whatever, just kind of keep this momentum going. You know, so I'm never going to stop.
That's what we need. Somebody's got to do it, right?
So yeah, just try to keep rocking. I didn't do a whole lot last year, but I did do actually 16 events during COVID, 16, which is more than anybody on the planet. Mm-hmm. And I say that, you know, humbly, as I can. I doubt anybody did more than that during COVID. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been good. And hopefully I get this vibe back from Don Bostic and I could be working for the U.S. snowboard. Or I keep saying snowboarding. He was in charge of the snowboarding. I keep saying that. Actually, Bostic invented slope style. He invented so many different things. Like, he was telling me at the Edmond thing that slope style was invented in Mount Shasta, where I live. I'm like, what? He's telling me the whole story about how he saw the snowboarders doing this certain thing on the mountain. He's like, well, it's kind of like street style skating, but it's slope style, you know? And then that totally caught on with whatever, and then being in X Games and all that stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. And going to Vertitac really changed my life too. This thing in Sweden, I went for like 3 years in a row. And all the heaviest guys in vert skating would go, and there's no prize money. It's just about like, just come and skate. But they get people from like 25 countries like every time they do it. It's crazy. You get all the best skaters in the world, or at least the majority of the best vert skaters on the planet will go to Vertitac at least once in their career. Let's put it that way. Super cool. So that was really fun. Hanging out with Bucky Lassick, treat me with so much respect, and hanging out with Mike Vallely and Andy McDonald and Sandro Diaz and Rune Glifberg and just all the heaviest like vert dudes that I could hang out with. Good times.
Danny Way?
I never met Danny Way. Never met Danny Way. Yeah, I never met Danny Way, unfortunately. That'd be kind of cool to meet Danny Way.
Yeah.
But no, never crossed paths with him. Never.
That's amazing that you got to go on so many trips, because you said you went in 16 different countries skateboarding now?
Yeah. Yep.
And how do you hear about these events?
However it is, I'm just connected with lots of X Game, whatever, gold, world champion, Guinness record holders. Like I was doing a lecture in Sweden, and the guy's leaving after the night. We did this whatever meditation and some other things, and my friend's like, "Oh, he's got a skateboard hoodie on," you know. And so I like ran up to him as he's going out the door. We're at this place in Maharishi Yogi. He built this place called the Ideal Village. Really beautiful place in Sweden where I was speaking. Anyway, so I go up to the guy. I'm like, "You a skater?" He's like, "Yeah, world champion." I'm like, "Will you take me to your skate park, please?" He's like, "For sure, I will." Totally. Anyway, freestyle world champion, one of these guys, you know, on the flat ground, just killing it.
Roddy Mullen style.
Yeah, and he's been friends with Rodney Shoot for decades. Anyway, so this is Stefan Lillis Akison is who I'm talking about, who is a former world champion in 2001. And just amazing skater, and he took like third place, I think, just at the roundup in Vancouver, just last month against, I think that's the second biggest freestyle contest in the world in Vancouver, the roundup, and he's like at least what is he, upper 50s? I think he's like 2 years older, maybe he's 57 or something. Took third place or whatever. It's just amazing what these guys are still doing, like. But Japan's the new mecca for freestyle. Like, oh my God.
I've seen some
What's
videos.
going on in Japan in the last like 3-4 years?
Not just freestyle, but just everything skateboarding.
Yeah,
They're
everything. True.
They're taking over.
No, they are. But freestyle for sure, like blowing it up. And big up to Gunter Moklist, 12-time world champion. Had him sleeping on my couch one time. That was rad. And I had like 3 world champions sleeping in my place one time in Shasta. That was pretty cool. So big up to Gunter and the freestyle masters, Lillis, Felix. Can't remember everybody, but yeah, Felix and Gunter. Yeah, these guys are just, I can't believe what they're still doing. Like Tony Alva, he was just at this event and he went and skated the Beeble Bowl. Big up to the Beebleheimers with Eric and Andrea. He's still 65 years old, just still shredding. 10-foot pool, no problem.
Yeah, I'm at 27 and I get tired after skating for like 2 minutes,
Oh my God, I remember skating in Peru. I'm skating at Titicaca at this park at 12,500 feet elevation, right? And I'm so excited, and I'm like, man, this bowl looks super mellow. It's really chill. I can attack this. It wasn't too big and gnarly for me.
And just get out of breath a lot sooner.
Oh my God, bro. Like I took a super long run and then I was just gasping at the end for like 30 seconds. I couldn't get my breath. I feel like bent over. It's like, I'm just like, you guys, I can't, like, I was kind of tripping for a minute, and the kids were like, don't take such a long run. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to like kind of acclimate. I was just way too fired up. I almost passed out. Yeah, it was funny.
I know sometimes when I go up to Mount Shasta, I don't know how big of a difference from Redding to Mount Shasta the elevation is, but I've noticed I get a little more winded when I'm skating at the park there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3,600 feet there, so maybe the park's at 37, maybe, yeah. No, it's pretty up there. Yeah. Yeah, that was the highest elevation I ever skated was in Titicaca. That was a rad park. In Puno, right on Titicaca.
13,000, you said?
It's like 12.5.
12.
Yeah, 12.5, yeah.
That's like skydiving level from...
Yeah, I mean, all the hotels there have oxygen, like right in the lobby, and like, yeah.
Wow.
Just so people can like rally.
We do have to end this soon, though. Is there any last words you want to say or anything else you want to bring up before we end this?
I just want to say thanks. appreciate you having me. And yeah, I got the Barno Bash coming up next month. I'll be in Eureka Skate Contest coming up and doing the Krusty Lurker in September in Shasta. So come up to Shasta and check it out. Check it out. That's right. What's up?
You're a busy man. You love skateboarding for what it is, and it seems like you're going to be doing it for forever.
Yeah, I won't stop. This is a Kneass surfboard, this one. Kneass surfboard. I used to ride this one, actually. It's a little thrashed right now. It's missing that bushing up front. And then the roller derby I just got off of eBay. I have to ride metal wheel-board if you've ever been a skateboarder.
Yeah, this is
Remember
crazy.
Logan Marshall used to drop in on. I'd bring it to contests and he would drop in and like.
No way.
You have to be careful because it washes out so quickly. Like you could just wash out and just.
And with these,
break yourself off in a heartbeat.
The trucks, the wheels are all metal. No bearings, no bushings.
Well, yeah, it's like some kind of a closed bearing. I don't even know what they have in there.
Oh, is it inside?
I don't know. I think they have something in there.
They got it, right?
Right.
But
no, roller derby's old school.
This is
definitely
history.
one of the more older boards for sure. I think the oldest skateboard I ever saw was like from the 30s though, which was like a 3-wheel one that was custom made.
3 wheels, 2 in the
just
back.
had 1 in the front and 2 in the back. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was more probably just made from some kind of a scooter of some kind. They make these little like box scooter ones or whatever, like homemade ones back in the 40s.
It doesn't even look like it has hardware. So how are these trucks even staying
I
on
don't
there?
know. I don't even know. I'm not even sure.
Wow.
But yeah, I gotta like the old school. Yeah, from metal wheels to clay to urethane. Thank God for Cadillac coming up with the urethane wheels, whatever that was, 1973. That changed the whole game. Then it was like, because guys were skating pools even, whatever, like as early as like, I think 63 was probably the earliest that I've seen. Herbie, God, my brain's not working right now, but yeah, early on was like, it was hard to stay on the walls, of course, but when the urethane came, boom, it was like sticking to the wall. You can do little stuff up there and do, slides or do edgers or catch a grind and not just wash out. Because on those, you're just washing out. So anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. I love all the stories. I love to hear it.
Yeah, let me come back someday.
Yeah, come back. You're a local legend. We didn't even scratch the surface with just your life stories, the adventures of.
Yeah, we come back with some more overseas stuff would be cool.
Yeah.
We can share some more stuff about Stockholm and whatever, some different random stuff. Scotland or wherever, Germany. Get some good tales at the base of the Zugspitze or whatever. Butt boarding again down these crazy hills.
It's just so hard to fit everything in, but.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for coming. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching another episode of The Munch Gang. Make sure to check out Barno on where can they find you?
Yeah, Mark Barno Kneass on Facebook or Mark Kneass. Mark Barno Kneass on IG or on Facebook. Yeah.
Follow him there. See what he's up to.
Yep.
All right, guys. Peace.